Greetings, friends. Prepare for another thrilling journey as we delve into Reddit's most bizarre tales. We're plunging deep into the quirkiest corners of the web. Grab your popcorn and join us on this adventure. Remember to hit subscribe and like. Let's begin. 3 years ago, I married the woman I loved more than anything in the world. Our relationship had started several years earlier, and even before marriage, we were deeply connected. We didn't have an official wedding ceremony. Our marriage was common law, but that didn't matter much to us. We believed that everything would be fine as long as we were together. However, cracks began to appear right from the start. My wife always had some personal insecurities and fears. She constantly told me that I could find someone better, didn't believe me when I said she was beautiful and sexy. She would often say that sooner or later I would leave or cheat on her. These words hurt, but I always tried to reassure her, telling her that I chose her for a reason, that I loved her and would never betray her. Yet her doubts and fears only deepened over time. 2 years into our relationship, our daughter was born. It was both the happiest and the hardest event in our lives. Along with the birth of our child, my wife's insecurities grew into something deeper, postpartum depression that literally shattered her inner world. She went through moments close to psychosis. I tried to be there for her, to support her, but my attempts to help seemed only to make things worse. I cut back on my work hours to spend more time with her and our baby. I took on additional household chores, offered weekend trips, time alone so she could relax and recharge. I was ready to give her anything she wanted or needed. However, the house gradually turned into chaos. Dirty diapers were scattered everywhere, leftover food was left out, bottles with spoiled milk were strewn around. I started worrying about the health of our daughter and brought up the need to clean, but all I got in return were accusations that I wasn't doing enough. The stress of work, where management was actively looking for a reason to get rid of me, along with having to leave home several times because my wife was threatening suicide or harm to the baby, watching the woman I loved suffer without being able to help her, and the growing financial issues. She wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, which I could support to an extent, but her depression led to compulsive shopping and more arguments. All of this built up until, about a year ago, we had a terrible argument that I'm not proud of. She was screaming at me while I was begging her to let me leave, and she trapped me in a room. I don't know what came over me, but I shoved her out of the way and left the house, seriously contemplating suicide. Both of us ended up with charges from that incident, which have since been resolved. She was charged with sexual assault. She grabbed me and tried to force me into something I didn't want, while I was charged for pushing her. I'm not proud of my part, and I feel ashamed even putting it out there. Afterward, we agreed to work on things, to go to couples therapy, and to respect each other more, especially when arguments got heated, allowing each other space to cool off. A year has passed since that horrible incident, and despite our efforts in therapy, I started noticing things slipping back to how they were when everything got really bad. I feel overwhelmed, and when I try to express this to her, I get shut down and told how much worse things are for her. I get it. Being home with a 2-year-old for 12 hours is tough. So I suggested she go to the bedroom when I get home, and I take over all parenting duties. She also gets all of Sunday to herself. No responsibilities unless there's an emergency. I'm in school now, trying to get out of my current career and into something better with more stable hours, but even that has been difficult. I've asked her to help adjust our daughter's schedule so she goes to bed earlier, giving me time to study in the evenings. But my wife insists that the current schedule works for her, even though after 8 p.m., it's me who takes care of the baby because that's when I get home from work, after a long 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. shift. When I try to express my needs, all I hear is, "I wish I could go to school too." To which I always respond, "Let's make it happen. What do you want to study?" I've even offered to take a break from my own schooling so she could focus on hers, but all I get back are self-deprecating statements like, "I'm worthless," or "It's a waste of money." Her depression continued to worsen, and she began developing new health issues. I've begged her to go to a doctor, but she always says, "They never do anything." I feel like I'm at a breaking point. My mental health is at its lowest point ever. The only thing keeping me going right now is our daughter. I feel like I have to stay strong for her, but every day feels like a heavier burden. I've started considering leaving, but the fear of losing my daughter keeps me from making that decision. I'm terrified that if I leave, I'll never see her again. I'm also scared of the impact it will have on her, growing up with a mother who is in such a fragile state. I know my wife needs serious help, but she flat out refuses to get it. We've tried couples therapy, but it hasn't been enough. I've tried being the best husband and father I can be, but it seems like it no longer matters. Another month has passed. Our daughter continues to grow, and so do our problems. I'm trying to juggle work, school, and caring for my family, but my mental health is deteriorating rapidly. Some nights, I feel like there's no way out, that I'll just have to accept that my dreams and desires will never come to fruition. Every night, as I put our daughter to bed, I think about how she deserves better. She deserves a happy, healthy family, but I can't give her that in the current situation. Recently, I've been thinking about what I really want from life. The thought of divorce constantly haunts me. I no longer see the point in continuing a relationship that is destroying both of us. But the fear of losing my daughter and the guilt over the past hold me back. I know that leaving won't solve all the problems. My wife needs help, but I can no longer be her savior. I'm not sure I can endure this marriage any longer. But if I leave, what impact will that have on our daughter? These thoughts keep me up at night. I'm standing at a crossroads and will soon have to make a decision.